Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. At this point, you should be able to hear my voice and see my screen here with the big purple pack sign up saying welcome. My name is Jess Zelmer. I am one of the board members of the Professional Animal Care Certification Council, and we are so pleased to have you all here to learn about online technologies and how it can improve the safety in your pet care centers. Before we get to the panelists, I just want to encourage everybody, there is a chat box. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to either put them in the chat box or the questions box. I will be monitoring them throughout. Your questions, we will try to get to as many of them as we can. This course today is also approved for a PAC CEU. We'll be providing that code later in the presentation, but you can look for that. I'll say it verbally. I will also put that in the chat box. So we are going to get started here today. I've just got a couple of quick updates on PAC, but every time we have one of these webinars, I always like to introduce PAC for just a minute here for those of you that might not be familiar. PAC was developed by a number of industry experts to offer high-quality independent certification counsel for our boarding, pet sitting, and daycare industry. It's something that the people on the board and the people that started PAC are so passionate about pet safety. We wanted a way to independently certify folks that are working with these animals and help pet parents to identify those that are most dedicated to providing a safe, fun, and healthy environment for pets. And people ask, how is PAC different than all of the other things that you see out there? The key word on this particular slide is going to be that independent certification. So we are a not-for-profit group. We do not sell any type of testing materials. We are just an exam. So you get your schooling very similar to, for instance, an RN would get her nursing education somewhere, and then he or she will take an independent exam to get her RN certification. This works very much like that. So again, we don't profit from this. It's just something that the people at PAC are dedicated to pet safety, and having a way for those who are also dedicated to really stand out from everybody else in the industry. There are 3 levels of testing depending on where you are in your career. If you're at the early stages of your career or working just directly with the animals, we have the provider level. If you manage a pet care center, we have the manager level. And if you own or operate a pet care center, we have the operator level. All of the information about the 3 exams is available at our website. Our website is listed here in the slide. And take note that our website just has 2 C's in it, not 3 C's. So it's paccert.org. You can find information about the tests, information about PAC. Also there, you will find information on how to be a CEU provider. I know that we had some vendors that were joining us today. And so if you would like to submit content for CEUs, you can do that. If you are PAC certified already or just really interested in getting involved, we are always looking for volunteers. It is a lot of man and woman power that goes into having an organization like this. We are always looking for new volunteers to assist us. So please reach out to that email address below if you're interested. And the last thing I wanted to go over today is we are really, really excited to be launching our study groups for PAC. It's something that people have been asking for a long time. How do I study for PAC? The resource list is quite extensive. I don't know where to begin. So we have developed study groups for all 3 levels. We're in the very early stages, but at this point we are accepting names to put you into these study groups. We'll have a Facebook page, we'll have a conference call, hopefully at least once a month to go over study techniques, and these will be led by people who have actually taken the exam too, so they'll be able to provide some guidance there. So if you're interested in joining one of those study groups, please email that email address below. Let them know which study group you're interested in joining, whether it's provider, manager, or operator level, and they will get you in touch with the proper study group leader. So we are going to get started today with our presentation. I know that's why everybody joined us today, was to hear this fantastic presentation from our two presenters today. So what I'm going to do is switch my screen over to Andy Gale. Andy Gale is joining us from Ginger, and I'm going to let him introduce himself. And then we also, so I'm sure most of you know, but Ginger is a software that we utilize here in the pet care industry. And I'll let Andy go through that a little bit more. But in addition, which I think is fabulous, is Andy has asked Gray Moore from Dog Tired in Charleston, South Carolina, to join him today. Gray owns a pet care center in South Carolina, and actually as of last week, she owns 2 pet care centers in South Carolina. She just opened her 2nd location, so we are even more honored to have her here during such a busy time. But what's great about having Gray today is she's going to take all the things that Andy is saying and talk about how she applies them in real life in her pet care center, and how she uses the software in her pet care center to provide the highest level of care. Now today, because Andy is from Ginger, you're going to be seeing a lot of examples from Ginger and how to do it in Ginger software, but these techniques can be applied to other softwares. So even if you don't use Ginger, there's going to be a lot of information here for you today so that you can take it to take it back to your pet care centers and utilize those techniques. So Andy, I'm going to change the presenter over to you.
Okay, very good. Hello, everybody.
And we can hear you fine.
Okay.
Go ahead and pull up your, yep, we got it there. We see your slideshow. So you are all set to go, Andy. I will pass it over to you.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, and welcome everybody. Thanks for joining us. And you know, I'm not going to spend too long on the introduction here, but as Jess had mentioned, indeed, you know what, we're going to see a lot about Ginger, but this is not just about Ginger. So you know, a lot of the features that you see in our software should be available in yours, and if it's not, definitely ask your software provider to develop these kinds of features. The other thing is that many of these tools can be used outside of software. You know, the topic is, of course, around using online technologies. And as we get towards, as we go through this, and certainly thinking forward, I'm going to ask you to think about what other kinds of technologies might we use to integrate with our software and our operational practices. They could be sensors or other things, other tools that we can use. So I definitely encourage you to start thinking ahead into the future, and what other kinds of things can we bring in to help ensure that we're providing the best care possible. My big fancy title here is Director of Customer Consultation, and you know, our mission really is to raise the tide for all ships here, and we really want to help facility-based pet care be the leader in pet care. We're very passionate about this. It's why we like to partner with PACCC and to help folks become as best as possible in providing care. So let's get moving. I want to let Gray, why don't you bring your voice in here and introduce yourself as well.
Hey everybody, I am in Charleston, as Jess mentioned, and we've been in business about 10 years, and we switched over to Ginger about 3 years ago, and it's wonderful and very user friendly, and our clients love it. And you have a lot more personalization through Ginger, which are some of the things that we're going to discuss today.
Okay, great. So let's see, why is this? Okay, great. So I used to work in a services business myself. It was well, I used to own a sea kayak company out in Port Townsend, Washington, and this was pretty high risk business. Okay, I was taking people out onto very cold water, 50-degree water with tides and wind, and the consequences of something happening were pretty high. And so this term risk management was a big thing in the industry, and I took this very seriously. What got me excited about PAC was I see a very strong parallel to job skills training and risk management training that we had in the outdoor industry. And so I think a lot of this, it's pet care, but really I'm managing risk, right? I'm managing the health of the pet. I'm managing the risk of something happening, whether it's a fight in daycare or a dog getting injured because when they're in their lodging unit or something like that. So in the pet industry, and certainly in our software, and what our customers are reaching out and talking to us about is, I want to track feeding, I want to track medication, I want to track behavioral issues so I can help ensure that dogs don't get in a fight. I need to record incidents. And I, of course, want to ensure that my staff is doing the job that I'm asking them to. So these topics here are a lot of what we're going to hit on today, and Gray's going to share with us some of the practices that she and her team do in their facilities, and we'll take a look at how some of these things can work in an online software program as well. Okay, so what we're going to hit on a lot today are some of the best practices around using run cards, how vaccination tracking can happen in software, using report cards to communicate to your customers, again, tracking feeding and medication, use of daily checklists, and of course, recording any of those incidences that happen, making sure the right people know about those incidences, and use of custom icons and alerts. So let's see, let's jump in here. And Gray, you want to start telling us a little bit how you folks use the run cards?
Sure. So the run cards are one of the biggest assets to your business. So if you're not printing those now, if you're using Ginger or another software, this would be one of the very first things I would say to start using. You can put the pet's photo on the run card, so your new staff know which dog it is. It helps them to learn the dogs better than leaving them blank. So how we do it is when the reservations are entered for an existing client, when the client comes in to check in for the day, we enter all of their belongings and record it. So then you have less opportunity to lose the client's stuff. Even if you ask them not to bring anything with them, they still bring a ton of stuff. We also count even the Ziploc baggies that they bring, because you can have an owner that'll say, we sent 11 bags, but you sent more bags home, so they can be accusatory of, that you didn't feed their dog. So we print them out as they arrive, and then they are taken with the pet to their spot, which we pre-plotted the night before. And then when they're actually fed, the staff sign off with their signature on the run card. And then additionally, once the dog actually checks out, we save the run cards for 30 days in case something else comes up where there's a discrepancy with a call. It doesn't happen often once you have the run cards, because you're already taking care of most of anything that could happen by using the run cards with your checks and balances systems. And then with that, we can also sign off as well for their feeding and medication reports. Depending on, you may have different people who can do the medications, but again, you can have your managers go back and do the walkthrough of ensuring that they're signed off on as well.
Great. Yeah, there's what I'll show you too is there's all kind, for those of you that are here and already using Ginger, you're probably familiar with this, but some of your system-wide settings, you can decide what kinds of information do you want to show up on that run card. Okay, so go to your system-wide settings, and these are all those related settings. Sometimes you got to be careful, like if you show employee notes on a run card and your employees take lots of notes, then your run card's going to get really long and kind of onerous, right? So you might need to turn this off. But generally, most of these other ones, if you're using the run card strongly, you're going to want most of these, with the exception of maybe grooming notes, certainly use of custom icons, which we're going to talk about later. Owner info is something you may or may not want on there, depending on if you want your staff to have full contact information from your customers.
Correct. And then also you can turn off and on the vaccination requirements as well, where you can have them also printed on the run cards or not. We don't do that because of how much paper it takes when you actually print the run cards out. So our front desk is taking care of the vaccinations way ahead of time. I think it's a week out or week to 2 weeks out to ensure that their vaccinations are taken care of before they arrive and that they have ample time to go and get them before they come in.
Yeah, and one of the things that Gray pointed out here was recording what kinds of items they might come in with. So these check-in questions you can set by reservation type. And then again, you could have these check-in questions show up on the run card to help track it. Again, sort of as a double check if they're bringing in special medications or if they have special equipment that you need to help take care of the pet.
Exactly.
Can I interrupt for a second? This is Jess. Are we supposed to be seeing the run card? I'm just seeing your presentation.
Okay. I'm sorry about that, because yeah, we've been, yeah, let me turn off my presentation. So sorry about that, folks.
You explained it very well, so I wasn't sure.
I was doing stuff on my screen too here. How do I get out of this, Jess? Any ideas?
Let's see here.
I thought you were seeing my screen as opposed to the presentation itself.
Looking for.
I think I got an idea here.
Okay. There we go. We're seeing it.
It's a matter of which, what's the risk of using multiple monitors, folks?
Yeah, we're seeing like the top part of a run card down to.
Oh, sorry about that. I get so used to using this other monitor. Let me just resize this for you folks.
No, that's great.
And, yeah, I've been cranking through some cool stuff and nobody can see it. Okay. That's what happens when you get a.
No, and like I said, you actually explained it very well. I wasn't even certain if we were supposed to be seeing it. So you're good.
Very good. Okay, so yeah, quick view of that run card. Again, we had talked about setting up your reservation settings so you can ask questions at check-in and have those print on the run card, yes or no. You can also, I'll go back real quickly to those system-wide settings so folks can see those. So these are the settings that relate to what do you want to show on that run card. So you can really customize that view as we had talked about. So those can auto print, or you can print right from the pet's profile as they're checked in here. Okay, so let's move on a little bit here. Vaccination tracking, I'd like to move pretty quickly through this, Gray, unless you have some things to offer here. This is certainly what we see as a core part of the software. Most pet care software is going to help automatically track. So if we're, like I can see actually Bongo here, we don't have any vaccination records on file. This pet never should have been checked in. Of course, we're in the demo, so we allowed it. But you'll see this if a pet's about to check in, you'll see these icons which will alert you. If you're looking at inbound reservation or appointment requests, you'll see the system generated icon as well. So in this case, I might put them on a wait list. If they're trying to check in, I'm not going to let them in until I have proof. Hopefully, if this customer shows up with everything they need, then we can record this readily in the software. And I'll just refresh here and it'll update this pet's information. So now this
one thing I can add as well is when you're actually making the reservation, it will flag that the pet has expired immunizations, but you can override it while you're creating the reservation. If you still want to schedule, if the owner's like, I'm going tomorrow. So you don't have to wait until actual check-in day. So you can take care of this way ahead of time. And there's even a report that you can run as well. So you don't even have to just do it as is. You can actually, if your reservation is super busy, there's actually a report you can run as well just for the vaccinations.
Yeah, and then you can plug in these reports. We'll talk about the marketing features a little bit later, but you can run expired vaccination reports. You can run even filter right in the marketing feature, so you can send out a blast ahead of time so those folks can update things, as Gray said, before they show up.
And the system will also automatically email them if you have that set up when their vaccinations are expired. So there's a ton of checks and balances that are automatic within the system as well. It'll automatically email them and text them based on how they have their settings set up as the client.
Okay, great. So let's keep moving in the interest of time here so we can hit on some things. Gray, do you want to talk a little bit about how you folks use your report cards, then jump into the feeding and medication reports?
Sure. The report cards are wonderful for creating that trust and relationship, which we're all trying to create with our clients, because that is what keeps our clients around. So we do them every day for our daycare members, and then we also do them for our the majority of our boarding members, depending on which package they chose. So what they do is the pet techs, the folks that are, have the groups of dogs will write down specific things that their dog did for the day through the system. And then those report cards are emailed to the client at the end of the day. You can also put list the dogs that the dog that you're writing about in their report card, tag them, and then they can read their report card too. And which is what Andy is showing you right here. And this is what really makes a difference, and the clients just love it. And then we also added that to our checklist to ensure that they get done, which we'll touch on a little bit later. But the report cards are so important for creating that trust and relationship to keep your clients around a long time, creating the trust between you.
Yeah, and it depends a little, how you want to use this. As Gray mentioned, it's great for goodwill and all that. But also there may be, depending on your relationship with your customers or the individual, as you can see here, maybe I'm actually recording some information that we want the customer to be aware of in a gentle way, but that maybe the pet is displaying some behaviors that we might together want to try to correct. Would be especially appropriate if, say, I was a very training centric company, if I was running day training camps and those kinds of things.
We have a question here about report cards. Will clients be able to see other clients' info, first and last name, if you tag friends on report cards?
That's a great question. I'll have to check on that. I haven't sent one out with multiple tags myself or seen that. So that's a great question. I'll take a look into that for you for my team. If you want to follow up with me, then I'll get you an answer to that.
I believe it's just the report card.
Mm-hmm.
But we'll double check.
Great.
As
Okay.
far as
We are getting some input from other people on there that must use it, and then they're saying that the other clients do not get the client's information.
Okay, great. Thank you, folks. Okay, how about those feeding and medication reports, Gray?
These are very, very critical. So you never have a client upset or leave because you missed a medication. Again, so this is very important. So the medication and feeding report, it's we have our front desk printed out daily, multiple times a day, actually, and because it's updated as the dogs check in and then carries over to the pet's profile. And then so once the pet's medication is administered, let's say in the morning, you go, the pet tech or whoever you have assigned to do the medication would go in and enter in the system that their medication was given. And then it automatically, once it's entered, then it will automatically email out to the client along with the feeding report as well. And again, we also have that on the front desk and manager's checklist. So you have more checks and balances again, which we'll go over the checklist in a bit, but this is where you enter the notes. So you have a report that the front desk prints out and hands off to the staff, and then you have your staff enter the notes, and then you have your managers double check the off of the report and also in the system because it is emailed to the client.
Very good. So there's really a couple options. You can always print these, or some folks will record it on the run card. If you're using this live, a lot of our customers will have mobility. So they'll be using tablets or laptops throughout the facility so that their kennel techs, their staff can move around as they're administering either feedings or medications and record it live in the software. So as Gray mentioned, that gets synced in with optionally with the report cards, certainly with the reservation records, so that everybody can see that Chico, in this case, was administered his medication in the morning on Thursday, May 16th. One of the things I've done, some of you may access, I used to access a lot just this through the reports, but what I've done is you can create some quick links on the back of your dashboard here and assign icons just to make it really easy and fast for your staff. And depending on where you are in the facility, this might be the home screen on that device. There's another piece in here, which is weight tracking. So if you're doing longer term care, I can't see a show of hands right now, but if you're tracking weight, especially if maybe I notice, say, Jasper does not eat any food here, then I might want to look in his history first. Okay, so the feeding history will actually show me Jasper's history. Does he have a history of not eating, maybe on the first night or the first day? So I can see that here, and maybe somebody left some notes and, hey, this really worked to help get Jasper to eat or take his medications. So if you're entering it in the back in the software, you'll be able to see that history. With respect to the weights, you can track the weight here. So if a pet I notice is not eating, then I can start to track any weight trends. And if those change, if I notice a pet is losing weight, I can take note of that and decide what course of action I want to take from there. Okay. How about daily checklists, Gray?
Yes, we use the daily checklist for the morning and the evening, and you can actually assign it for a checklist for your front desk or your managers. There's several different or options that you can choose to assign specific checklists to. This has made a world of difference. So that way, nobody's having to do anything by memory. It's all right here. And you can move away from some of the paper checklists because it's all typed up right here. And if you're using tablets or with your staff, or which that is one thing, and I would love to hear everybody's feedback on that too, is so we use tablets, and then the staff also want to use their own phones to mark things off. But I did provide some like $99 tablets that you can get. You don't have to get an iPad. So the staff have access to enter all of what they've done on their checklist. They don't have to just come to the desk to tell them or to the manager. They can do it themselves to mark them off, which is a time saver.
Yeah, and you can, as you can see here, you can customize these checklist items. If you have multiple locations, you can have different checklists for different locations. You can set up different groups for different checklists. You can even specify which days of the week that particular item needs to be on the checklist. And then there's a checklist report, so you can actually see who's recording things, who's taking care of those checklist items for you. I don't know if we will have any in here, but you'll be able to see who on your staff is actually attending to these items. So it gives them a little bit of accountability too.
Wonderful.
Okay. How about incident reports, Gray? You guys use these much?
Yes, we do. So an incident would be, it could be several different things. It could be, if a dog had an issue with a certain dog, or if you had a dog that likes to jump, or a dog that, all kinds of things that could be. A dog that may not like a certain area where you place them. So you can actually go in, and let's say it was unfortunately between two dogs that didn't like each other. You can actually go into the incident report and tag and write the incident report and tag the other pet, and then you don't have to write the incident report twice. And the clients do not see the incident reports. Also, they do not see the employee notes. So anything you don't want anybody to see, you can put in employee notes in the incident reports. You can also set your settings for your scorecards if you want that information to print on your scorecards or not, as well. And Andy is showing us these, with the staff, all the details that you need to know.
And this is a customizable form. Okay, so you can actually go in with all the forms here, is you can actually decide which kinds of fields do you want on this form. Again, text, multi-line, multi-unit drop downs, multi-selection. You can decide which fields are required or not in your incident report as well. So you can really customize this around what you want to track. The other thing that happens is with your incident report, you can decide who needs to know about this. Okay, so you can create a notification setting amongst your team. So maybe you want everybody on your team to know about any incident, or you have an owners group, or you have a managers group. so that when things happen here, folks get notified. I know if I was an owner and I was off site, I'd probably want to get some kind of push notification to my smartphone, so I know right away that something was recorded. I can look at it and decide if I need to follow up right away or not. The other thing we can do with Ginger is through the use of what are called webhooks. So I can actually pull an event out of the software, like for example, an incident report is created, and I could actually send information from that incident to to like a communication tool. So at Ginger, we use a communication tool called Slack. It's basically like group chat with multiple channels. Okay, I'll show you this really quickly. So we have all kinds of channels, and but we've got even things that I think I've got. You can see how I set up some incidents, a connection here. So if an incident gets recorded, that information gets pushed to this Slack channel. So if I had a larger facility or multiple facilities, then we could have a conversation around this if we needed to. So there's opportunities here for you to integrate some of the things that you're doing in your software with other tools that you may be using in your business.
Andy and Gray, we're getting a ton of questions, all good questions. But one question that came in regarding incident reports: when a dog involved in an incident checks in the next time, is there any sort of icon or notification that will pop up?
Yeah, great question. Yeah, so this thank you for bringing it up. This system generated icon will now always ride with Boingo here. Okay. Here's another one for Daggy 7250. So, and I can even just click on this right from here. That'll take me to Daggy's profile. I can look at things, and I can look at any incident reports, records right here. So this looks like this was a matter of eating materials, the cot and the blanket. So I can make a plan if I'm putting them in a lodging unit or something like that. Great question. There's also a report that'll report out all the incidents for you right from the report section. Okay, let's talk about this. This is one of my favorites, are the custom icons. Gray, how do you guys use the icons in the software here?
Oh yeah, the icons are great, and definitely a feature that I recommend everyone use. We use them for like if they're a jumper, or if they're a water spiller, if they're in the littles group or the bigs group, if they have medication. There's just so many different icons that you can create on your own with your staff, and then that way you guys are all on the same page with what each icon means in your facility. Let me see what else. Play group or bark, if they're an excessive barker, if they're toy aggressive, and then you can easily update them as things change too, or delete, add and delete very easily.
Yeah, so to build on that, first you'll see the software will give you some system icons like we saw with the incident report, this first time reservation. So from a health and safety perspective, I know, well, we don't know much about Bubba, right? It's his first time in. And so we want to make sure that you know, we're really watching his behavioral tendencies so that we can make some records to help take care of him and the other pets around him. So you'll see some of these system generated icons. If the pet is here, not been spayed or neutered, is older than 6 months, this will automatically pop up for you folks. Okay, then to what, as Gray was talking about, the use of custom icons can be used both for medical tracking, health tracking, and behavioral tracking. So a lot of folks will use these icons for play groups. They might use them to tag dogs as fighters or for medical issues. So what you can do, and I'm going to jump over just to the settings here so you can get a picture of how you can customize these. I call these icons, I say they have superpowers, okay? So you'll set them up with the icon, the title, the color. One of the things you can do is set capacity limits. So how many fighters do I really want to have in my dog daycare on any given day? Well, I really don't want any, but I know that I've got a couple extra kennels or lodging units that I can set. So maybe I set my daily capacity at 2 for fighters. So if somebody makes a request or we try to check in the third fighter, the software will actually stop us from doing that. Okay. This is the stuff that really I think can be very valuable. So you can set icons to give you and your staff alerts. So a check-in alert. Well, if it's a fighter, you probably want to get an alert when we're trying to check in the pet, and maybe even when we're creating the reservation or accepting the reservation, okay, or looking at the animal details. So I can set this so that it'll start to pop up. So for example, let's see, Chico here has been tagged as a fighter. We're going to check in Chico. Let's check him out because he can't be in twice. You saw that actually, you just saw a pop-up alert there for the pet at checkout. So that's another tool. Oh, gosh, there we go. Sorry about this. Let's just get him out of here. Check him out. And now let's check in. We check them in. They haven't signed agreements. So this is another piece of some of the automation, the pop-ups. This will do this if they don't have vaccination. You can have this pop up to stop them from checking in, or again, another risk management if they haven't signed my agreements. And here's that check-in alert. Okay, there's actually 2 for Chico here. So again, as we're checking in this dog, maybe somebody noticed something previously or was reported during the reservation process. So now whoever's on staff on a Saturday afternoon, wasn't here earlier in the week, they can automatically see this kinds of information. We're going to keep these icons tagged to Chico for now. Okay, the other thing you can do here is from your dashboard, you can actually filter your dashboard view. So I've got all these pets checked in, maybe to my daycare, but I can actually just look at, well, who's been tagged as a fighter currently in my facility? Just 3 results here. Or who, I don't know, who's an escape artist? Okay, Moxie, got to be really careful with Moxie. So you can filter this right on your dashboard, either from the widget up here, or you can filter right in this area here.
Andy, one question that we have, this is really awesome, is there a way, and this might be, you asked for opportunities for changes too, so this might be that as well, but is there a way to print out a key or guide to which icons mean what?
That is a great question. And I've heard this before. Let's look at this icons report. Yeah, so I would run this report. I'm just going to include all, okay? And then I could print this out. So I wouldn't need to worry about the count, but it would give me a code here as well.
Okay.
Yep.
Great.
So again, you can simply tag the pet here. Again, like what I think of these is basically sticky notes, digital sticky notes with superpowers, and lots of different ways to use these. But at any point when I'm looking at a pet, whether it's an inbound reservation request, or if I go to look at this, this medical alert should pop up as I go to look at that pet's details. All right. So a couple other things, because I want us to be able to hit on some more questions from you folks as well. But I'm going to talk a little bit about the marketing features. I think this is an important tool to use in communicating with your customers. Number one, uh, if you have a bunch of pets checked in, and let's say there's something that happened, maybe there's a natural disaster that's coming through in the Midwest, Southeast, there's tornado warnings or something, you could immediately reach out to all your customers that have pets checked into your facility right from the dashboard here. I have a pre-made template or something that you can put them right into a marketing campaign right from the dashboard here, even after you filter. Okay, so maybe we filtered for, I don't know, escape artists. There was a breakout, right? And I'm now going to put just the results from this filter into a marketing campaign. Okay? Similarly, and Gray had mentioned this earlier, is that we can reach out by email and or text to customers. So say to get ahead on those vaccinations, I want to reach out to folks that have reservations in the next 60 days and their pets will have expired vaccination records. So I might do this maybe weekly. Even though there's all the automation, I'm still going to try and get ahead of this and send out a marketing campaign. I'd probably have a template made up. So I can literally do this in about 30 seconds and send this out on a weekly basis as well. Okay. A few just additional things before we jump into some more questions here. The use of temporary collars. And I just heard from IDEX yesterday again, they're looking at doing a promotion for our customers. So if you want to look into the use of temporary collars, there's all kinds of things that Ginger will automatically print on that collar for you. Okay, so you can look into that. The other thing, this is new to the Ginger software, is we've integrated with a educational software program, basically that produces articles for pet owners, pet parents. And the product comes largely out of the veterinary space, but they have a lot of articles that you can use. You can embed them into marketing campaigns, or if a customer of yours says, hey, I don't know anything about how to look for ticks on my dog, you could quickly pull up an article and send it in an email to them. So it helps you, number one, helps your customers start to see you as a great resource for pet care, helps build trust, and actually easily gets that information to them to help them take care of their pets alongside when you're taking care of them at your facility as well. Okay, so I think Jess, you tell me, how have we done on time? And I think we've got.
Yeah, we have about 10 minutes. There are tons and tons of questions to get to. So we will get to as many as we can. Before we go into questions, a couple of things. There is a CEU code for today's presentation. Thank you so much for attending. And the CEU code is C as in cat, 170108. I'll repeat that one more time. C as in cat, 170108. I'll also be typing that into the chat box as well here in a second. This so lots and lots of questions, Andy. Let me see if I can. I've tried to kind of group them together. A few questions on checklists. Will the checklist save the daily procedures, or do they have to be re-entered daily? And also a question about checklists. Where in your settings can you manage the checklist?
Okay, great question. Yeah, so first, this daily checklist will reboot every day. Okay, so I've created the checklist items that I want to show up. So say, for example, for the evening group, these will show up every day that I've set that I wanted to pop up. So those will automatically repopulate every day based on these settings right here. I go to my admin daily checklist, and then, for example, I don't know, check spot temperature and humidity. Um, I've got this assigned to my manager on duty, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Thursday. So it'll automatically populate on these days.
All right, that's fantastic. Let's see. Somebody did ask what they do with that CEU code. The CEU code is for those that are PAC certified, and you would submit that on a CEU form. Um, let's see what we got here. I know there was a question about grooming. Let me see if I can find that one. Few questions. There's so many questions. Somebody said, was the grooming calendar on your dashboard? Is that a new feature?
The grooming calendar, no. So I've labeled it on that quick link here. But this is AKA the facility calendar, depending how you use it. So what I've done here is I've customized, you can customize these buttons. Where do you want them to link to in the software? So that's what I've done here. And I've labeled it in this case, the grooming calendar.
Okay.
By the way, one thing we didn't touch on is the use of notices. And if you're a user today, I'd be curious to hear how you use these notices. But you can create notices. You can see I created a notice for my staff here. I've pinned it to the dashboard about a tick season. I've included a link here to CDC article, or it could be to that pet parent education, so that I can ensure that my staff knows about things that are going on related. You can use this for all kinds of things, but certainly health and safety, and there's all kinds of settings to help you record who's read it, who's checked off, and that kind of thing.
Okay, very good. Andy, this might be a feature request, but it's coming up a couple of times. Is there a way to track eliminations in Ginger?
Yeah, great question. So the short answer is yes, you can. A lot of our customers will use the feeding and medication report, or the feeding report to do that. But in fairness, it's not perfect, and that is on the development roadmap. We've definitely been hearing that a lot. Once the team gets through some of the other very in high demand development features, I know that's on the pretty short list.
Okay, very good. Gray, there was a question. I thought this might be a good question for you. I answered it based on my experience via text, but also in terms of somebody is considering transitioning to Ginger. She's scared about the effect that will have on her team. Can you speak to the experience that you had when you converted over to Ginger a bit?
Sure. Ginger has a support team that'll help you get everything set up. You have your people that are strong with computer skills and that good at, seeing the big picture of how it should be set up. So I would have those people involved in the setup, and then make sure you practice it as well before you go live. But the Ginger support team will also help you think things through of how your business is set up. And then one thing there is also a Ginger support group as well on Facebook. And so it's a great resource for people to ask questions with each other on what's the best practice to set things up. But it does take time and patience, and you just have to really set aside time to get it done. But once you're in there and once you're using it, you won't look back.
That's great. Thanks for that. I am going to have a few requests to repeat the CEU code. It's C as in cat, 170-108. I'll say that one more time. C as in cat, 170-108. I think we will have to have another session just for Q&A. This is a very, very popular topic, apparently. Can the agreements online be online and up? It seems like they're asking, can pet parents upload vaccination records and agreements?
Yeah, great question. Yeah, absolutely. So your customers, if they're online, they can indeed. Here, let me just pull this up for you so we can get a quick look here. So if they're a new customer self-registering, they can do it at this time. They can read agreements, anything you've got here that'll record digitally, IP address where they signed it from, digital timestamp, internet fingerprint, all that. And then the next step, they would create their pet profiles. They can indeed upload files like vet records, and then you'll get notified when that gets uploaded. And then you'll go in and hard code any expiration date. So you still retain quality control, if you will, around any expiration dates.
That's great.
Yeah, we actually got rid of our fax machine, so we're trying to do all paperless. So so this system has been very helpful with that. So we don't even have fax anymore. And if we have to still call the vet, we do verbals.
Got it. Great tip. Gotta love getting rid of that fax machine. Okay, so one more minute here, and this final question I will answer. Will this webinar be available for our managers and team to watch at a later date? Absolutely. Everybody that registered for this webinar will be sent the recording of the webinar. Hopefully in about 24 to 48 hours, we should be able to get that out. You will be able to watch that at a later date with your team if you like. In addition, if you know anybody that wanted to join us today and gather that CEU for this great information, this course will also live on our website along with many other opportunities for free CEUs for your PAC certification. So be sure to go to the website and check that out. Andy and Gray, thank you so much. This information has really been fantastic. Andy, Gray, anything you would like to say here in our final minute?
Just real quickly, I put up some next steps here. I encourage you to, review your standard operating procedures at this time with your staff. Talk about, what's working well and what you folks might be able to improve on and iterate. Definitely check your settings. If you're a current user of Ginger, feel free to follow up with our team, either your onboarding specialist or through our support to help you adjust any settings that you might need to. And practice, okay? Practice what happens when this happens, if there's an incident. How does this work? So I encourage you to prepare. And also, as I mentioned earlier, start thinking, ahead. What else can we integrate here? What else can we do with our practices, with our software and other technologies to help us further manage risk, manage the health and safety of the pets we're taking care of.
That's fantastic. And finally, I just want to end with thanking Andy, thanking the Ginger team. They are huge, huge supporters of PAC in a number of different ways. PAC literally would not be here without Ginger's support in our earlier years. So thank you, Andy and Ginger, for being such a great partner to PAC and such a great partner to our industry and keeping the animals safe, keeping our teams happy and well organized. Gray, your real life input has been invaluable today. So thank you so much for joining us during your second week of operation in your second location. I don't know how you managed to get on here today. That's amazing. But thank you all for joining us. Please feel free to email us if you have any additional questions. And I will go ahead.
One more thing too. There are a great section on Ginger as well for help videos and documents. So before you reach out to Ginger, a lot of times you can find your answers with the videos on their. If you click in the top right hand corner under help, you can really find a lot of material there, step by step.
Awesome tip. I'm sure Andy appreciates that one too and his team. All right, great. Thank you all so much. Have a great day, and be on the lookout for our June webinar, which will feature pet therapy technology. Thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye.